Miami. Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we got Kenny. What's up, my man?
What's up? What's going on, man? Sometimes it's Heat in 6. Go ahead and keep in the faith. Home court advantage is home court advantage. James Harden is playing in Miami tomorrow. Good luck to him and his endeavors. Let's get it.
We need we need somebody to tweet him like all the good ladies' nights and bottle nights on Monday nights. We gotta, I think they flew into town this morning. Obviously going to enjoy. Listen, it's a remnants of F1 a weekend, so hopefully we have some straggler parties going on. Give them South Beach flu. Clearly the most contagious pandemic we've ever seen. So shout out to that. Lots to get into today, Kenny. By the way, if you're watching us on Twitch, thank you so much. Appreciate you tuning in on twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat. If you're on the pod, listen, you guys, pod audience, you make the world go round. I love you guys. If you ever want to come on live, we usually do MHB at 7 and Hangover Time and Weird Off pregame show 30 minutes before and right after the game, respectively. So try to tune into any of that. Doing MHB a little later tonight because my OBS broke and I was fixing it. But and if you're on YouTube, try to catch us live, man. We appreciate you guys in the comments. We always read your funny comments and share them with each other. So have funny comments. We laugh, you make us smile, and appreciate all the love you've given us this season, guys. Like, that shit's for real, man. We have a lot of fun. I'm out here, Kenny. I'm out here fighting with Sixers Twitter. I'm the only one here going to war. Damn it.
I can't deal with Twitter anymore. It's just a lot. There's Heat. So I've since I've joined Heat Beat, my followers have tripled, and it's gotten to a point where it's just too much to reply to, and it's a lot of I'll tweet something, I get 50 of the same take. I love y'all, but it's I can't.
Listen, it's I've been doing this for 10 years, so you get used to it. But I love y'all still. I still vibe with y'all. You guys can listen. I talk my shit. You guys come at me, Kenny. If the Sixers win the series, I may need to deactivate. I'm probably my mentions are gonna go. Listen, you think your mentions are bad after I shit talk Embiid and Harden and they cook them for 2 games? So listen, I have this is a legacy series for me at this point. Leif and I are playing for a lot here.
See, I haven't read the timeline anymore. I don't know what Leif's been doing.
Oh no, Leif and I have a long-standing history of slandering the Sixers. Sedano, this is a big swing series for Sedano. This will really color. Listen, this is a legacy series for George Sedano. So lots of funny stuff to get into, lots of good basketball stuff to get into, which I want to start with here, Kenny. So let's talk about this series and kind of how it's transgressed. Heat had 2 games in Miami, beat the brakes off of them. Obviously, anytime DeAndre Jordan was in the game, it was just open season on the Sixers, right? They stood no chance. DeAndre, the one, and I've said this a ton, the most consistent thing about this Heat offense, maybe the only consistent thing about this Heat offense, is they kill drop.
Yeah.
Right? They're just drop killers. And DeAndre Jordan in a drop, they absolutely just destroyed him. And really the rest of the units didn't matter because they would just kill those DeAndre minutes by so much. It didn't matter. So they win the 2 home games pretty comfortably. They get into game 3 in Philly. Embiid's coming back. The whole song and dance and the fucking parade and all the smoke show and the smoke screens and everything. All that bullshit. Embiid plays. Kenny, we don't have to relitigate game 3, but just quickly, it just didn't look. Ryan Proverio says fuck Philly with a prime sub. Love you. They just didn't look prepared for that moment. This is a divorce from the basketball stuff. It just seemed like they walked a little bit into a buzzsaw in game 3. It felt like game 1 of a big series because it felt like, Kenny, both teams were kind of feeling each other out. And that building was crazy. It just felt like they just were not ready for that in any way.
Yeah, these versions of the Heat didn't make any moves, but these versions of actually yeah, because Oladipo came back. These versions of each team just never played each other,
Yeah.
so they were kind of it was like a Mayweather fight, just kind of filling each other out, and then later on things happened the way they happened. But I will say, Game 3, I wasn't too discouraged by and Game 4. I wasn't too discouraged by anything that he really necessarily did. It's just shots weren't falling, and so that'll correct itself at home, I'm sure, and also not to like go on a tangent, and I don't know if you're gonna get to this eventually, but what was encouraging to me also that we kind of overlooked on Hangover Time last night is that the Sixers did the thing where they put in, well, they switched Embiid onto Jimmy, and that typically worked, but Jimmy absolutely torched him last night, and so that was encouraging for me also.
That was a big thing. So in Game 3, I don't think Embiid was really like ready to be himself, but they just did the Embiid stuff, right? They throw it into the post in Embiid. Miami fronts, they swarm. They try to force the ball out of his hands. Embiid just scores. They were switching every Harden and Embiid pick and roll. They would put PJ Tucker on Harden and Jimmy on Maxey, which left Kyle Lowry on one leg to guard Tobias Harris, which really didn't hurt them on defense, but on offense, having Jimmy on Maxey, means that he's on the ball handler. So anytime Harden or Embiid or Harden or Maxey trigger a pick and roll, and Harden and PJ, damn it, Jimmy, I'm getting old. Jimmy and PJ were switching on to Embiid because they were guarding the two ball handlers, which were Maxey and Harden. And they were switching that pick and roll all the time, and they were fronting, and they were helping and recovering, all that stuff. And Philly's offense just shot a bunch of threes, and the shot diet was not really. Cooper Moore had tweeted about it. It's not like Philly generated a lot of better looks because of that. They just hit a lot of their shots. Danny Green did Danny Green shit that he does against the Heat all the time. And I think a lot of Game 3 you could look at and say, okay, that is shot variance correcting itself on both sides. Miami regressed a little bit to their mean, and Philly, progressed to the mean. Let's come to Game 4. Right. So now we have actual, we have a game under our belt where everybody played. We kind of know how the teams are going to play coverages because a lot of the season Miami played Embiid one-on-one, right? They would have Dedmon and Bam in single coverage. And what a lot of what the Heat did, as my camera goes out, is they would send help late on the basketball move and force Embiid into jumpers. And Embiid hit a lot of those jump shots. And I tweeted this and I talked about it on the pod a couple days ago. He just killed him with size, and those guys are PJ and Jimmy and all these guys are just not big enough to contest his jump shots. Enter Game 4. Miami fronted, and I think, Kenny, the first couple plays of that game, it was Harden, lob, Embiid. So Philly would do what Miami does, where they vacate one side in the pick and roll. So Danny Green's in the corner, and then Danny Green kind of does the Danny Green cut, goes from left to right on the baseline, and just goes like from corner to corner. As Kenny gets his camera situated. And the Heat are in single coverage against Embiid. They're fronting Embiid. Harden throws the lob over, and they have no help because the Sixers vacate the corners. Miami has no help, and that's just an easy bucket for Embiid. So, Kenny, that's what the Sixers did. That was their big adjustment. They're like, let's vacate the side. If Miami wants to front, let's let them front, right? You'll front. But Harden's on the pass, right? So they're just running a pick and roll, right? Getting the switch they want. Jimmy's fronting, and then Harden's just throwing target practice. And that's really that's how the first quarter went.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And there were a lot of positions I will give the Heat credit where that didn't necessarily work. But after a while, they started to get it together, and then obviously the Heat had to make the adjustment that you're going to get into at a certain point.
Yeah. So that went on, and then I thought what the Heat did was, as the game progressed, they put Bam. They stopped the switching in the second half because it wasn't working. The other thing that the Sixers did, which I thought was really interesting, so they would press their guys really high to give them empty sides and all that stuff. And then they threw a different wrinkle in where they would have kind of Danny as a decoy. So instead of emptying the side, they'd re-vacate it. And then you'd be so focused on Embiid that Danny Green would spring open or Max or whoever. So the Sixers did that a couple times. I thought was a nice little wrinkle to what their offense was. And Miami said, fuck this. Oh, the other thing the Sixers did was they put Embiid at the nail. And if you're going to front Embiid at the free throw line, Well, if you get that switch, and if it's Oladipo or Jimmy or PJ, Embiid one-on-one at the free throw line is going to win that every time, because what you got to do is you got to swipe down on the ball. You're probably going to foul, or, he's just going to kind of hit a floater over you, and that's really like an uncontested floater because you're just not tall enough to contest. So that was really the Sixer offense in the first half. Miami adjusted, and you kind of talked about it. They put Bam in single coverage. They're like, all right, Bam, we're dropping pick and roll with you. Every time they run shit, we're dropping. And you're going to stay on Embiid, and you're going to fight for position. He caught that stupid fourth foul. Such bullshit. Yeah. And Kenny, I thought he did a fantastic job. I thought Bam was exceptional on defense in the second half.
He was, and that's what I want to see more of, because like you said, switching a smaller guy on Embiid may not necessarily work, because giving Doc the credit, I know we have a lot of jokes for Doc, and I know we talked about it off camera, but Doc does make really good adjustments in games that time. So he did what you mentioned, and then the Heat had no answer for it. And so they went ahead and they put Bam on him. And Bam is such a phenomenal defender that he does have the size issue. We understand that. But he typically guards Embiid well one-on-one. He actually guards Embiid incredibly one-on-one typically. And that's what happened in the second half. But what happened after that is Harden just hit some tough shots, and you kind of just can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, and I think, Kenny, as the game kind of winded down, the offense got more and more Harden-centric. Partly because I thought Miami was just really effective. Bam was just denying Embiid the ball, and they were eating a lot of clock because they were like, okay, let's feed our best player the ball. And Bam is fucking fighting with 4 fouls, by the way, which is just the fucking balls on that guy because of the way that the games have been called. And Embiid, obviously, dude, deservedly so, a superstar. Right? Like, and he's like Shaq. He gets fouled a ton. He's not as much. I don't really like want to like call him a grifter or anything. I hate giving that guy credit, but he's a fucking monster. He's great. So Bam, the fucking balls on Bam to fight, to position, to ball deny, all that stuff. And the Sixers end up eating a ton of clock, all those possessions. Cooper Moore talked about this today too. And what happens is that Harden's like, well, okay, I don't have a pass for the angle. And once I give it to Embiid, he has to catch. He has to kind of reset, kind of set his feet, all that stuff. That's just not enough time. I'm a dance and take a step back, right? Because also Miami is going to help in. As soon as Harden takes a dribble, they're helping in immediately. And by the way, Miami's not switching anymore, at least those Embiid actions. So he has his initial defenders, whether that's PJ or Jimmy or whoever. So it's not like he has a good matchup anyway. So he's just taking these step backs, whether it's Depot, Jimmy, all these guys. And he just hit a ton. You know what I mean? And that's just backbreaking.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's like, it's difficult to like view it this way when you're a fan and you want your team to win. But in that case, you can't blame the makes on the team. It's just he's James Harden. As much as I don't like the guy or his game, he's one of the better scorers and one of the better offensive players. Yeah, he's one of the better offensive players the league has ever seen. And so he's going to just knock down tough shots at times. And so, again, I didn't see anything in game 4 that discourages me or anything that the Heat did wrong. It's just the way the game went. It was just makes versus misses once again. And it's a little annoying for games to come down to that because there's not much to really – well, we're going to break down some stuff, but it's just like that's what it came down to at the end of the day. A guy hitting – really big, really tough shots.
I just think that the adjustments were it was really cool to see, like, as it's happening in game, right? And I think a lot of times people say, and I saw some of this on Twitter, well, Spo doesn't know what he's doing. This is on Spo. Bro, Spo is fucking devising a game plan to stop one of the best, the scoring leader in the NBA. Won the scoring title, Joel Embiid. So Spo is like, okay, I got to worry about fucking Harden, former scoring champ, and I got to worry about the current scoring champ. And their defensive game plan, I know that their defense was not good. Philly scored 112 points per 100 possessions in the half court. I think some of that was some mistakes by Miami. I thought there were times that they let shooters spring free that they shouldn't. Again, some of those decoy plays to Danny Green and Tyrese, I thought the stuff that Philly got in transition really juiced their offense. Philly 150 points per 100 possessions in transition. Miami only 112, right below average. Philly, kind of hovering around above average. So the fact that Miami missed a lot of shots, and those threes are long rebounds, which juices Philly's transition game, which is where Maxey wants to be, which is where Harden wants to be. And what they did in the first half. Like, I don't know, man. I thought the game plan on defense was solid. I think some of that stuff is correctable, but I think that the game plan is what the game plan is. And I thought late in that game, Kenny, their defense was fucking spectacular, even though the Sixers scored a bajillion points.
Yeah, I think so. First of all, I think Spo did an amazing job last night coaching. I think it goes back to sometimes as fans, we just see the other team make shots and we just take it as somebody messed up. And that's not the case. Last night was a pretty blameless game, unless you want to get into guys' field goal percentages or whatever the case is. But guys also had good looks. There wasn't too many like struggling against the shot clock like it was in the first two games. I think, and Steve Jones he said this on a recent Dunker spot. He said sometimes coaches make adjustments, they make the correct adjustments, and it just doesn't work.
I thought in this case it did work.
It's the NBA, and so
it did
work for the most part. It was just guys just hit shots.
The adjustments were on defense because I thought Miami's offense was Miami's offense.
Yeah, and so especially late in that game, he did everything right defensively. It was just guys just hit tough shots, and there's just kind of nothing you can do about it.
Bronx Joker said, "Only wish we put Keith in earlier." I am a little over PJ covering Embiid. I just don't think that works right now, and maybe they'll try it another game. I don't really think Keith was like doing much better, but I liked it a little better. And I think on offense, I don't know. It's like it's not moving the needle much for me, but I think they got to do something. If Dedmon's not going to play next game, they have to do something other than PJ at center again. And he'd use Yurt as a toothpick because we saw that all regular season long. So, and chat's clamoring for the Duncan stuff, and we're going to get into Duncan, and we're going to get into Lowry. Yeah. I just wanted to start on defense because to me that was where the battleground was. It was how Miami was responding defensively to Philly and how they countered every Philly punch, and it worked. So, like I said, the stuff with the fronting and the way that Miami just kind of just put Bam on it and how that worked and all that stuff, which I thought was a really important adjustment for them to make.
So really quick, so I do want to mention Markieff because I was someone who wanted to see him play because he does he's good to have in that weak spot in the zone, but Embiid covers so much ground and Markieff doesn't stretch the floor enough for me to still think that's necessarily going to work. And so I'm just hoping for Dedmon to come back to where at least it's not, we know Dedmon's not there for offense and then it's fine. He has the size for Embiid, and then PJ at the 5, I'm not. Maybe when Embiid is on the bench, then you know
what's funny, Kenny? It's not even like they're getting crushed rebounding those minutes.
They're not.
It just puts Embiid in dangerous scoring positions, and you just invite. I think they can, Kenny. The other thing that, and it was Frankie that pointed it out on the timeline when I was tweeting the videos. And you can check my thread at Navas103 on Twitter, where I kind of get into a lot of detail with the film clips. Frankie said they're not putting any pressure on the pass that Harden's making to Embiid. And I think that's that if there's an adjustment to be made and if they want to play PJ at center, what they can do is they could put a little more pressure on the pass. I understand the theory why you don't want to, because you'd rather Harden take the step back three as opposed to getting into the paint, especially when Embiid's already being fronted. He can seal, right, put a guy on his back. I get the thinking. I just think that you're just making it too easy for them. And I'm not saying that you got to do it all the time. Yeah. You mix it up, but especially in minutes that PJ's playing center, if that's really the route that they want to go. And again, I don't even think that's like the wrong answer if Dedmon can't go. And I just wasn't moved by Keith's minutes. Maybe you try him a little bit. Maybe they try him like how Spo used to do Mike Miller, kind of a quick pull and never see him again if he doesn't look good. But I don't know, man. That's kind of where I am with that.
Yeah, and I think, well, we got to remember, too, PJ was in foul trouble. And part of that is the size disadvantage. I don't like the way Embiid plays. He does flop, but at the same time, he is just huge, and he's going to get hit sometimes. And you kind of have to call it sometimes. So, I don't know, man. I think maybe you give PJ a little more chances, but it is getting a little more dangerous now. Because once Embiid does catch, you do have to swarm him, and then you do have guys shooting the lights out on their team. So I just genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think putting more pressure on the pass, because Maxey is not making those passes, and they very specifically have Harden trigger those actions. I think making Maxey more of a playmaker is one of the other adjustments you can make on offense. I already think they load up on Harden enough, but I do think that they need to encourage the Maxey matchup, whether it's giving Maxey certain switches or certain traps. That could be a way to kind of encourage that and put some size and play passing lanes or whatever, or just make those passes difficult. And I think making Embiid a bit of a passer as well. And there were some possessions that when Bam single covered against him, you make the pass difficult, and once the entry pass comes, you double on the catch. Because Miami does a lot of like pre-doubling, right? Well, they'll shade over right before the guy even gets the ball, or like a guy will get the ball, or like Embiid will get the ball, and he'll be like posting up, or he'll be working, and it's not a hard double, it's like a shade double, like PJ splitting the difference between him and his man, and it's effective sometimes. But I just think at this juncture they need to hard double on the catch. Force him. He loves to turn to that little turnaround on the left shoulder. Force him to do that. And if he's going to hit those shots, then congratulations. But they have to give him different looks.
So what I did see, and maybe you can correct me, I did see in the first half they were doing that. They were doubling him on a catch, but it was after switching a smaller guy on him, where it's not really going to do a whole bunch of stuff for you. So I would say keep Bam on him. And Oladipo has done a great job of digging into the post when Embiid catches and getting those deflections and getting those steals. So I would like to see them keep Bam on Joel and have, well, whoever's nearby, maybe it will be Oladipo, go ahead and double as he catches.
When they were doing it late, it was Jimmy coming over, which I think the extra size and the kind of IQ helps. So like stuff like that I think is important. In terms of that, when Bam is the one denying the ball, the Sixers eat a ton of clock because Harden's not racing up the floor. You know, Harden's their point guard a lot of the time. Harden's walking the ball up, so they're already getting into their sets a little late.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you're eating more clock with them getting, so when Embiid catches the ball, he needs to go. So that's why you want to double on the catch because they ate a lot of clock. When there's a small, you just do the switch and it's an easy pass. There's not a lot of time going. And once Embiid catches, he has 10 on the clock. And the possession is going to end with him, right? So 10 on the clock, he has time and he knows it. You know, but when you force that pass with 8 or 7 on the clock and you double immediately on the catch, that's different. Now he needs to make a move under duress. And I think that if you're Miami, you need to dictate the terms of engagement in this series. Your defense is better, and I know that Embiid is a mismatch nightmare for anybody, but I think that that's what they need to do. I thought they did that in the second half, which is why Embiid was a little quieter. And if not for Harden heroics, Miami wins that game. And we're going to get into the offense now because Chaz is like clamoring for Duncan and talking about, but defensively, I thought they did enough. And really, I thought they scored enough to win. I mean, Jimmy gave you 40. Bam and Jimmy combined for like 60-something. You know what I mean? That'll win you games. You know what I mean? If one person just needs to step up. The Sixers played a ton of drop early in the game. I thought Tyler got a lot of what he wanted. It just stopped falling, which I don't know how you feel about that, but
it happens. Yeah,
it happens. But I like the looks that he got. Something that's interesting, Kenny. And this, I think, dictates a little bit of what Miami's doing. The Sixers force a lot of non-corner threes. So Miami 13 of 20, Miami 5 of 28 from non-corner threes. Which is, I think,
that's probably
the
what
28 attempts from non-corners. Miami only shot 6 corner threes. Which I think if you're Miami, you want that to be a little more of your offense. Getting guys out of the corners. And if you're going to do those non-corner threes, that has to come off handoff actions. Then it can't be Jimmy and Oladipo because a lot of those were Oladipo at the top of the key, right? Jimmy at the top of the key. Those aren't the kinds of threes you want. And you want to kind of reorganize your shot diet. And again, Tyler went 1 for 4.
Yeah.
Gabe went 0 for 4. Your good shooters, did not come to. Kyle was 0 for 6, although he's on one leg, and we'll talk about him later. A lot of their good shooters just did not have good nights. And their bad shooters shot too many threes, and they need to readjust that shot diet.
Yeah, and so I do wonder if
PJ 1 for 4.
Keeping guys out of the corner is something the Sixers are doing by design against the Heat, or something they typically do. Because if it's against the Heat, it makes sense because you don't neutralize PJ Tucker on offense, but you do definitely take away his biggest weapon and make him a little uncomfortable. He doesn't want to shoot from the top of the key or from the elbows. So you kind of take him out, and now there's an issue with the Heat space, and we see how their offense gets stagnant at times because of that. And so I do wonder, maybe you know more than I do, whether that's something the Sixers always do or if it's something they're doing for this
Kind of
series.
philosophical, but I think they ramp it up a little bit more now. And I think part of it is just a playoff thing of like, okay, well, if you're gonna shoot threes, we're gonna make sure that it's Oladipo and Jimmy and stuff like that. What you can control if you're Miami is, okay, we can run more dribble handoffs for Max and for Tyler, because I did think that if Embiid's gonna drop, you get good looks. Embiid switched on to Tyler a couple times, which I think kind of scared Miami away from it. So they would run a pick and roll with Bam and Hero, or PJ and Hero, and Embiid would kind of just switch and really hard show and jump out. And there were a couple possessions where he did that to Tyler, and it really I think it kind of spooked Miami into not doing it anymore, because this guy comes out and he's really big and strong, and Tyler's just small, and it's just bad. You know, Embiid's just gonna fuck him up. But if Tyler gets Embiid on his heels, which he did a couple times, by kind of attacking with a bit of a head of steam, setting the screen a little bit out so that Tyler has the option of either stepping into a three, rejecting the screen. You need to give him space, or you need to kind of stretch everything out. If Embiid's going to drop lower, Tyler won those possessions. It was where they kind of screened at the three-point line, and Embiid jumped out and really kind of stopped that. So that's what happened there. I guess this is a good point to the Duncan thing. I am pro Duncan. I always want Duncan to play. I understand Eric Spoelstra not playing Duncan because you don't want to give Harden another target. So what Miami was doing late in that game was they weren't switching Tyler on to Harden. Harden was looking for the matchup, and Miami was not switching. They were Tyler, and go watch the film. I tweeted it out. They're hard showing kind of what they did against LeBron. You know, Tyler jumps out, shows hard, lets Oladipo get in front again, and that's it. And you waste 5 seconds of clock, and Tyler's back on Danny Green or whoever the fuck. So they're not switching that. And I think when there's just another guy out there, and if you're committed to starting Max, that means you're playing Duncan and Tyler together. And those lineups just haven't been good. I understand. Now, I'd want to play Duncan, and if it were up to me, I would play Duncan, see how he's shooting, and make a decision. If he has it, I leave him in. If he doesn't, I pull him, and that's it. I don't know if that's what Spo wants to do or not, but I just don't blame him for not wanting to play Tyler and Duncan together, and I don't blame him for not wanting to give Harden another target. I would like Duncan to play. I understand the reasons why he doesn't.
Yeah, and I'm the Duncan guy, but as today went on and I thought more about the game, I am a little more on the fence about it than just being just straight, you need to play Duncan because of what you said. You don't want to give them another target, which, well, if they aren't going to switch anyway, I'm not sure. I think you kind of live with that for a few minutes and see how it goes, but it's also just not a good idea to bring a guy in cold halfway through a series and just say, "Hey, go ahead."
Well, you just can't bring him in
I'm not
in the
sure.
middle of the game. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part to me. I'm like, what the fuck do you ever see a dude just check in? All right, bro, we suck today. It's fucking midway through the third quarter. You haven't really warmed up. Go get out there, kid. That's the one that I'm like,
it's kind of,
you know what I mean? Like that's
it's
not
sort of, it's kind of wishful thinking on our parts, hoping that he can come in and
that's a high intensity fucking
just lights
playoff
it
game.
up.
You know what I mean? Like against a physical team, it's not garbage time where a guy comes in and he hits a couple shots in garbage time because nobody's really playing defense. You know what I mean? Everyone's just trying not to get hurt and put up shots.
I do wonder if we see some of them next game though, because as much as I also defend Max, even defensively, I don't know how great he's really been. It's kind of slipped a little from my own eye test. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think Max is,
but he's game 3. I think he was pretty bad. Game 4, he was fine. But
I don't even think he fouled out.
I think he still try to.
But
I think he still try to maybe fit Duncan in there. But I'm not upset if you don't either.
I think that they'll probably try it because the noise is pretty loud, and I don't blame him. I mean, maybe he doesn't play. I mean, maybe they're like Spo even said we need to watch the film and see how much of this is emotional and how much of this is reality, right? And I watched the film too. I like the looks they got.
Yeah.
Miami was one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. I don't think they're going to be that bad from 3, and guys just shoot better at home. That's a fact. So maybe they go back home and they just shoot well again and we're hunky-dory. But I don't blame the fans for wanting Duncan. I do think it's funny that half of them wanted him in Azkaban.
Sorry, so oh man,
they would have put him in Guantanamo.
I don't.
He would have been the only white man in Guantanamo Bay.
I don't know. It's tough. I would like to see him out there, but again, I just completely understand if he's not, because also both games the Heat went on runs, but they were right there, and they didn't necessarily need to bring him in. You don't want to cut a 15-point lead. Yeah, you don't want to cut a 15-point lead down to 4 and then change the lineup and bring some shooting in. And so, Spo just has a tough. It's a tough job. And hey, man, like I get it. I want Duncan to play, but again, there are reasons he's not, and it's not an indictment on him. It's just a really tough thing to manage.
I want him to play. I would like him to play. If it were up to me, he'd play. I just want to be clear with the audience. I understand why he doesn't, and I think there's a justifiable reason why he doesn't, and I don't think it's Spo's an idiot for not doing it. Because I think when fans oftentimes clamor for something, they don't look at the alternative. And they're going to be like, well, the alternative is we lost. And at the end of the day, the scoreboard's always right. But obviously, we don't operate with those things in mind as we're doing our jobs, and we shouldn't be governed by. We shouldn't be results. We are results driven, but you have to look at the big picture and what the film shows. And I don't know, man. I like the looks they got, and it's how much you trust these dudes to hit shots. I mean, maybe listen.
Yeah.
I don't really feel good about Gabe hitting big shots in a big playoff series. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
Yeah.
I probably trust Max to do it a little more. I trust Gabe. Not really. Do I think, Gabe was kind of bad? Maybe Duncan should play a little more? Yeah. You lose a little bit of ball handling, but I think Depot's been good enough that you try to, but then at the end of the day, when you cut some of that ball handling out, now you have to get Jimmy Butler to play a little more because you need a ball handler at all times. And now we're back to where we were last year. Where Miami didn't have a ball handler when Jimmy's off the court. You have Depot, right? I think Depot's been pretty good, but Depot's not a point guard, right? So the Lowry injury, and again, we're going to get into him in a second, really kind of fucks everything up. But also, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be like, do you play Gabe or do you play Duncan? I don't think Gabe's had a good game in a while this series. Maybe game 1 was his last good one, if that. We're looking at his minutes getting cut. I think Caleb just being out of the rotation makes sense. He just doesn't have umph or anything. Maybe they try him again to get a little more length on some of that help on Embiid. Gabe's also too small in this series, and I just think that they need size on Harden, and I just don't really think. I think Gabe's main purpose is to stay in front of Maxey. That hasn't really worked out anyway. So if anybody's minutes should get cut, it's Gabe's, and we should give Duncan a little look there. But then again, you lose ball handling in your backup point guard. Right,
yeah. And so you kind of stuck with Gabe in a sense because, like you said, we don't want Jimmy handling too much. Even though it did work out last game, he went Jimmy, which is great. But you can't take away too many of your backup point guards' minutes when your starting point guard is clearly injured and probably shouldn't be out there.
I don't think he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, and it sucks, but
he rehurt it in the game.
I don't think he's been nearly.
He was bad.
I don't think he's been nearly as bad as people have been saying.
I thought he was fine on defense.
I think as far as the shooting,
on offense, he was just a big thing. On defense, he was fine.
Yeah, but you just can't take away too many of Gabe's minutes because of that. And again, Vic, he is a capable playmaker. Vic is, and so is Tyler. They have capable playmakers and capable point guards, but
go ahead, finish.
It's just not
when
enough.
I'm
saying it's just not enough.
When you take capable guys and put them capable guys in secondary roles, when you promote them to primary, That's where you get problems. That's where turnovers come up. That's where stuff happens. And that's what you want to mitigate. And I think there was like in game 2, there was like way too much Gabe Vincent pick and roll for me. There's just at times when this offense looks bad, a lot of times it's like there's just way too much Gabe Vincent handling the ball. There's like way too much Max Strus like shooting. And I think they need to find the balance without Lowry. And I know that their record, I think they haven't lost a playoff game in where Gabe starts, right? Again, 3 of those against the Hawks, and then 2 against Philly without Embiid. So, we can say that. But I don't think Kyle should play. I think he's just not right. And maybe their title hopes were gone in that first round series when he got hurt. But he needs to rest. And whether that means rest up until game 2 of the next series, if they make it that far, then so be it. But that guy can't be out there. I thought Jimmy's quotes at the end of the game were incredibly telling. I think that they all agree that he shouldn't be out there. Honestly, I thought it was a bad look for the team to have him out there. He clearly did not look right, and especially after he reheard it, he played up until the fourth quarter in which he sat. You know what I mean? And I made fun of the Sixers for playing Embiid, but we gotta be honest here that was just not a good look from Miami. And I know that these guys are warriors, but it is what it is. I'm trying to find the Jimmy quote on Kyle, because to me it was pretty rough. Jimmy goes, we want to get back to being defensive minded, and then he said on Lowry wanting to push through. This is via Tropical Blanket, aka Troppy Baby, for 5 reasons. Says we understand that Lowry wants to push through, but we also want our guys to be safe, man. That's your peer saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure he plays.
It's tough, and I understand his side too, because he is 37 and he came here to win a championship, and so you want to fight through the injury and see if you can give yourself more of a chance, but that's a tough injury to play through, especially as a point guard, especially he
gave you the 1 seed. He gave you a game 7 against the series, so he can rest. He did his job. Hopefully, they need him, Kenny, to win a title. I'm not gonna lie. This may sound crazy. Like, I think in a Celtics series they need him. I think in a Bucks series they don't need him. That might sound incredible. Because of the way the Bucks play defense and the way that Miami can gear their offense away from ball handling and pick and roll to dribble handoffs only against the Bucks. I think if they draw Milwaukee, I think they can survive parts of that series without him. I think where he becomes important is against teams that switch, like the Warriors. He's supposed to be the guy who helps them through switches and stuff like that, organize their offense, get Jimmy off ball, all that stuff. Against a team like Milwaukee, whose defense isn't been elite in the season. I know their playoff defense has been pretty good, but I just think that against a drop, Miami can, and that's why I expect tomorrow their offense to look a lot better. And maybe I'm wrong and their shooters don't hit and then they lose and they're embarrassed and it's a total laughing stock. But I think that he should not be playing. I think he looked bad. I think he hurt them. And I was annoyed with people like, he's a +4. He's a +5. I'm like, okay, like whatever. Like what? Look at
his individual plus minus doesn't really tell.
Kenny, there was a play in the game that I think for me, I was like, yeah, this is it. He was in the corner. They close out hard. He drives by. He gets into the paint, just wide open. Doesn't even go up.
I know. Exactly.
Doesn't go up.
He passed it to Bam, and Bam dunked, but it was just like,
he just had. You could tell that he doesn't trust his finishing. He doesn't trust getting off the ground, and it's just bad. It's just bad if you can't jump and if you don't feel confident in your jumping, you can't play basketball. You know what I mean? So the whole fucking narratives that people are running around, fucking Jason Maples, you're fucking better than that, dude. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, you're better than.
I like that guy.
I like him too. That's why I was like, I tweeted out, I go, Jason, you're better than this. You're great at what you do. Like, let's not do this to Kyle, calling him like a bunch of names, and then those fucking bozos, who I'm not even gonna name, are talking shit.
Yeah, let's not even.
I'm not even gonna name them, but it's like people like
They're
that,
not worth it.
and people like Jason. At least Jason, I respect, right? Jason's a really brilliant and intelligent person, you know, and are just running with these narratives about Kyle. I was like, guys, to close the season, he was really good. He got hurt in the Hawks series early. What can you do? That's a fucking shitty injury to get in the playoffs. That takes time to heal. That's a 2-3 week injury. He's not gonna be the same. He's not gonna like come in and fucking change your life. I mean, maybe they need him. He comes in, and if he can kind of summon up enough to hit some shots. So that shit to me bothers me, because like we can say like, okay, he can't play, but we don't have to call him fucking names and shit, or like make this some sort of indictment on who he is as a performer, or like criticize the signing. Like they got the 1 seed because of him. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that I'm a Kyle Lowry guy and everything, and it's gonna sound, oh, Kyle Lowry guy's complaining. Look, fine, whatever, I get it. But just know that your fucking argument's so disingenuous. Look at my fucking timeline and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That's the other thing that fucking bothers me. That people are like, you don't know shit about hoops. Motherfucker, I just fucking rewatched the game and I'm breaking down actions. I'm not saying I'm a coach or anything, but I know a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up. Who the fuck are you people? Like, out of here, man. I'm sick and tired of these fucking people.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Like when people say we don't know basketball, and then like we explain what happened in the play, and there's just no response. It's like, okay, well,
bro, somebody like
cool.
fucking responded to my pinned tweet is some actions that they ran against the Bucks with Duncan as a screener, and Pum was like, this guy doesn't know hoops. What do you mean I don't know hoops? I'm literally fucking breaking down the game. What does that mean?
Yeah, but. And again, I don't know what Jason said.
Floppy to you? Like, what the fuck do you need?
So, yeah, I don't know what Jason said. And I like Jason, so it's not to him. And those other guys, they're never getting my attention again, so it's not about them either. But just in general, I think sometimes we have to do a better job. And that's why I stopped criticizing players pretty much in general, unless it's very detailed in the specific thing they did. We just have to look at the context surrounding things sometimes before we just go off and jump to our conclusions. I think if we saw the guy holding his hamstring, and even our announcers who, credit to them, they typically don't give the Heat much of anything, especially when Grant Hill's announcing.
Bro, this
even when they're even saying, okay, Kyle's clearly hurt, then...
I fucking hate this broadcast team.
Man.
They're like so pro Sixers, it's so annoying. I can't fucking stand them.
And
Tyrese Maxey, what a beautiful
like it's disappointing because
fucking wide open lob.
And it's like disappointing for me because like a big part of my basketball fandom.
Grant Hill sucks. I was an overrated
player. A big part of my
player.
basketball fandom was like when YouTube first came out, I would like look up. I can't let you do that. Like before the injury, Grant Hill was incredible. That's what I was gonna say. Like
fuck anybody.
A lot of my basketball fandom comes from. It's Grant Hill's disappointing me because like I love
any
that guy
friend
as
of the
player.
Clintons.
It's just I don't know. A lot of players are disappointed. I forgot his mom was like Hillary Clinton's roommate.
Dog, I can't.
I can't praise Grant Hill like surrounded by Haitians. Yeah, nah, fuck Grant Hill.
It's fucking. Sorry.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
I knew you would like that one. I knew you would like that one. I don't know. I fucking hate
I can't.
I hate the only good player.
I hope Alf is watching. Yeah, hey, fuck Grant Hill, and fuck the Clintons.
Yeah, fuck them.
Shout out to Alf.
Yeah, shout out to Alf. He would like that. Let's go, Bernie. Making myself clear. You saw JJ Redick jumping off the ship. Speaking of Duke players.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I saw somebody say something.
JJ picked the Sixers in the series, so JJ jumped ship.
Yeah, but he was just a Sixer like 2 years ago. I'm not really going to blame him too much for that.
I broke my rule because I liked him. I'm like, fuck anybody who wore a Sixers uniform except for Andre Iguodala because he was there before the Sixers went to shit. Anybody post process, fuck you. Jay Rich is there. Fuck Jay Rich.
Yeah,
anti-vaxxer. I'm kidding. I love you, Jay Rich. I mean, I'm disappointed that you're an anti-vaxxer, but I
it's not surprising to me though that he's anti-vaxxer.
I can't be surprised.
He seems like the hipster type guy. Like,
There's two types of anti-vaxxers. It's hippies and Republicans. Okay, kind of pivoting back to basketball. Sorry, that's classic hippie. We got distracted. We got disoriented.
Where's hippie?
That's the classic here. On offense, the other thing that worked was Jimmy Butler. We haven't talked about him, which we should because he was fucking masterful. A lot of it was against Embiid. It wasn't even. I thought a lot of it. If you were gonna have a game like this, it would be picking on Tyrese Maxey and Harden, and it wasn't. It was picking on Joel Embiid. The fucking craziest thing I saw in that game. So we talked about this. Embiid was just guarding Jimmy Butler. They were just like, okay, this is a matchup. Which credit to Jimmy, because when they did that to him in the regular season, as you said, and when they did that to him in the finals with Anthony Davis, it was a fucking problem for him. When Maxi Kleber was guarding him, it was he had struggled with this all year. And credit to him, he looks a little healthier, a little more burst, getting by guys, the series of fakes, the looking for contact from these bigger guys, and finishing strong, going up. Credit to Bam for helping. Right, there were a couple times there was a play where Embiid stepped up to double. The Sixers did not double Jimmy at all. The one play they did, Bam immediately darted to the rim. Jimmy got him for a dunk. Bam was fucking so awesome that second half. It's just heartbreaking that they lost because I thought that they played so well down the stretch. Jimmy and Bam, everybody else can go fuck off, but I'm so disappointed, man. They just really let Bam and Jimmy down because like those guys just gave you the performance that you need. And I know Bam's box score is not going to say shit. That was a fucking warrior.
Bam's box score was pretty impressive. Also,
that was one of my favorite Bam games. I'm not even gonna lie. Like that fourth quarter was like one of my favorite Bam fourth quarters. After all the shit, every fucking mouth breathing fan talked to him. That dude was after it. That dude fucking battled Embiid, the leading scorer, a guy who's bigger than him. And really, Joel didn't do much of anything. Joel got one offensive rebound over Victor Oladipo and Jimmy Butler. Bam wasn't even in that play because he was on Harden. Because at that point, the Sixers' problem was Harden. And listen, Harden hit a fucking step back over Bam, and Harden drove, and Bam challenged him to finish with his right. And he did. Bam was amazing, and Harden was amazing, and you tip your cap, but fucking it rendered Embiid irrelevant, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's the thing I don't.
Hold on. Somebody's like, how much does Bam Adebayo pay you guys? Motherfucker, I wish he paid us. Come on the fucking show. After all the fucking defense we do for you. God damn.
Yeah, but I don't know if that guy was joking or not. I'm just gonna ignore him.
Nah, it was slumping.
Just in case he wasn't.
It was slumping.
Oh, shout out to you then. I was playing around.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that's the thing I don't understand about the narrative surrounding Bam, because he typically does play great against size. He's played well against Embiid before. He torches Vooch. Yeah. So I've seen the narrative. I haven't read a ton of what people are saying, but I have seen the narrative that he struggles against bigger.
I disagree with you. I think Gobert bothers him. Embiid bothers him. Like those kinds of guys.
Oh yeah, Gobert bothers everybody though.
But I mean, like the size bothers him. Like he's just not. He just when the big rotates or when he has a big in front of him in between the basket, he just wants to go to the jumper.
Well, in those situations,
yeah, I don't like that, and he's not good, and like he just regularly like a lot better against smaller teams. Like he just on offense, like when he's scoring, he just picks on smaller dudes. Although I thought last night
he's performed well against those guys before, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. He was good last night.
Yeah.
21, 9 of 12 shooting. I think the only 3 free throws is one area where you're like, man, if you got to the line like 7 or 8 times. He struggled against Lopez once. Zach 33 in chat says he struggles against Lopez. Struggled against Lopez one series. I watched them torch Lopez. Well, I guess I watched Duncan torch Lopez. Duncan and Jay Crowder. That series was wild because, like, as good as the dribble handoffs were, the problem was they were just helping off Jay Crowder, and Jay hit like a bajillion threes.
He just never missed a 3 until the finals.
He missed everything in the Celtics series.
Oh right,
that was a problem because he like went fucking crazy in the Bucks series, and then against the Celtics, and that's why that series went 6. Because if he was just normal, that shit was so frustrating. I was like, God damn it! Now Suns fans are like, now he's feast or famine with the Suns. Now it's funny. That's who he is. But what were you gonna say about?
I miss that guy sometimes though. I completely forgot, honestly. We got derailed 3 times.
Yeah, I know we're all over the place today. But I thought we had some good basketball stuff. Yeah, I mean, for game, I think the biggest question marks. Oh, we're talking about Jimmy. Yeah, just bookend that. Jimmy, incredible. I thought he found Maxey a couple times and some pick and rolls, put him in the blender in the post. But I think most of it was just Embiid. Oh, I was actually saying the craziest play I saw was, when Embiid was just guarding Jimmy. Jimmy's like, I'm just gonna screen for Tyler. We're gonna put Embiid in pick and roll, and Tyler got a wide open 3 that he missed. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. They hunted Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like the shit with Gobert. It's like usually if you're Jimmy, you're just like, okay, let me get the ball on the perimeter and let me kind of finagle some space here. He was like, fuck. They're like, fuck that. Let's get this guy in pick and roll. And they did, and Tyler got a wide open three. I'm telling you, like, Joel Embiid was like on the low block and Tyler was on the wing. It was wide ass open.
Yeah.
And he missed.
That's just how the last 2 games were going. He do everything right and the shot just doesn't fall.
They hunted this man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I couldn't fucking believe it. And it was working.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do because he's either going to give you the space with the drop or he's going to get to the level of the screen and now their rim protection's gone. And so I do expect to see a little more of that next game. That was an interesting wrinkle to throw at him. And so we'll see what happens, man.
Let's see, man. It's going to be interesting. I think for Miami, I think depending on the Jimmy performance like that again is unlikely. I think wanting the 40, on 13 for 20. I think you can get similar free throw production. He was 12 for 13 from the line. I think you can get somewhere around there. You have 29 usage. I am worried about them burning Jimmy out. That hasn't really been a problem all season, but I just think what they're asking him to do on both ends of the floor is a lot, and I would like that to stop. So the shooters, please come to work. More. I think in a game like this, Max needs to take more than 5 threes. I don't think Oladipo should be taking 5, and I don't think Jimmy should be taking 6. I think Tyler, that 1 for 5 hurts. That PJ 1 for 4 hurts, and that Gabe 0 for 4 hurts. And honestly, Kenny, if those dudes hit 3 more threes, I think they probably win this game.
Yeah, and that's the importance of having home court advantage because we know shooting in Philadelphia, like as much as we can like pick on Philadelphia fans and being horrible people, which they are, that is a real tough environment to play well in. And so coming back to Miami, having the comfort and then feeding off the crowd the way a Tyler does, the way a Max does.
Philly was a shitty home team, which is a
the
funny
shooting,
part.
But I think it'll level out. I think it'll level out next game.
Them and the Nets, I think, were the 2 teams that were better on the road. I don't have that stat in front of me, but it was something like that. Miami also a really good road team, and now that you have it, it's the best 2 out of 3. You have 2 in your building. You're likely without Lowry for the rest of the series. I know it doesn't look good, and Kenny, I know it doesn't feel good, and as I'm talking, I have like a pit in my stomach because I don't want to lose to the Sixers. I may have to deactivate. I'm no coward. I won't do that. But, it doesn't feel good. Heat Culture DC says, I was at that game. I was ashamed at myself for having gained respect for that crowd. Like a picky respect. Man, let me tell you, I've been at some fucking Heat games that are loud as shit. I mean, those finals games, that Hawks closeout game, there's a lot of games that fucking building is shaking. So, I mean, people give a lot of shit to our city. A, we're more fun than anybody else. B, we're all just drunk and we want to have fun. So, fuck all you people. We're a great sports town. At least for the Heat. I don't know about
the Heat were 4th in attendance this season. I didn't really understand that whole narrative surrounding the Heat fans.
I know. I'm just talking to Heat fans right now.
It's
Kenny, what they don't understand, and I think this is a white people thing. Hispanic people are late to everything, and Alf has talked about how Haitian people are late to everything, and I just feel like white people treat like being punctual religiously, and I don't know, man. I just grew up with that never being a thing. Like, that's just not how we grow up. I don't know about you, but like, my dad was punctual. Like, my mom was late to everything. I'm fucking late to everything. Kenny, I'm sure that it's like that for you too. I don't remember the last time a fucking meeting that I went to in Miami started on time.
Oh no, nothing. So the people who maybe
work on time. These people want us to go to.
we have a lot of fans who aren't from Miami. So shout out to y'all. But yeah, if you go anywhere in Miami, if you're on time, you're not. If you have an appointment at 2:00 and you get there at 2:00, you're not seeing anybody until 4:15.
Bro, of course not.
It's just how, I don't know. It's just how it is. And so it's just people are late. And then the arena's a nightmare to get into. They have everybody working there is either 17 years old or 70 years old. Neither one knows what they're doing. It takes forever to let you in.
Everybody has a
parking is terrible.
That has to be fucking checked.
Yeah.
If you get in the wrong fucking line, you're behind 5 people with a purse. Why do you need that in the middle of a game? I don't know, but that's the city we live in. It's just annoying, man.
If you've never been to a Heat game, just trust us, it's a nightmare to get into that arena. If we could be in our seats at tip-off, it would be ideal, but it's just not possible.
The last game I went to, I didn't make it for the player introductions. Me. I've dedicated my life to this team. I love them. You're going to call me not a Heat fan? I'm out here fucking yelling at a camera? You're going to tell me I'm not a good fan? Fuck off, man. We're just late to shit.
Look, if you set your GPS to where it says you're going to arrive at 7:20 for a 7:30 game, you're getting there at halftime. It's just
sometimes
it's
we're
what
just
it
late
is.
because we just don't give a shit about time is not sacred.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I was on time for a reservation. I just don't, and nobody cares.
Reservations are tough because typically it's with a date and
who cares?
If we're not on time, listen, I don't think I've ever dated a woman who was on time or anything. So reservations are tough.
I mean, anybody, just anything. It's all like that. A dentist appointment, anything. So I'm just sick and tired of fucking hearing people. It's all white people that don't live here that just don't get it. I don't know. That's just why we didn't grow up that way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
We're on island time. Just deal with us. So exciting stuff going into game 5. High stakes game. This is a series. This is fun. I don't like the national talk about the Heat right now. It's like everybody's just saying how they're dead in the water. Everybody's on the fucking Philly train. Philly fans swear that everybody hates them. I think that other fan bases hate them, but I don't think the media hates them. They're like the darling.
Yeah, I think and they earned it. They're just like shitty people.
They're just shitty people and their franchise lost on purpose.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a team that lost on purpose. That shit bothers people.
Yeah,
nobody hated you until you lost on purpose, defended the architect of losing on purpose, get a fucking weirdo as your fucking franchise savior in Ben Simmons, and Embiid's just fucking corny. How does Embiid look depressed all the time? He looks depressed like 24/7 on the court, and then he'll score, and then he'll do some corny fucking dance or something. It looks so awkward. It's like pick an emotion, dude. I don't like that, man.
Their GM had a burner account.
Bro, the fucking Colangelo thing, they're just a joke. They're a fucking joke and that's why losing to them would fucking suck. They're just a fucking clown show, man. I just hate them. I just don't want good things to happen to them. They're just gross. It's a gross franchise.
Then they went and got hard.
I don't even like Philly. It's not even that nice a city. Just go to New York.
I've never been,
bro.
So but it looks like just bootleg New York. I don't.
Not even, man. It's just kind of old. And they don't fucking serve alcohol some places until they stop serving alcohol past 10 and shit because of the Quakers. Fucking, I don't know, man. Shit sucks. Man. Whatever. Fuck Philly. Fuck the Sixers. Fuck Embiid.
It's not on my.
Fuck Doc. Fuck Harden. Fuck Tyrese Maxey. Fuck all these people. Fuck Danny Green. God, fucking Danny Green. Why am I angry? Usually the pod is level-headed and we're chill, we vibe. I just got angry. Sixers make me angry, man. I was always wondering if I hated Boston or Philly more. Philly is cool if you're a history nerd. A history of what? Colonizers? Fuck do I care about American history for? Fucking care about those slave owners. Fuck that.
They had wooden teeth. I don't care about them.
I don't care about white people with shitty teeth. I think I am. So we have all that to look forward to. Jimmy's good. Hopefully shooters shoot well. Duncan may or may not play. Kyle Lowry may or may not play because he's hurt. Who knows? But we'll find out tomorrow. Heat Sixers. Tune in for the Weird Off pregame show 30 minutes before tip-off here on twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat. Also the Hangover Time postgame show live after the game with your host, Alphonse Sidney, a.k.a. Alf954, Heat Twitter president. If you don't know, Alf was actually elected on the radio as Heat Twitter president. Don't forget, he had a campaign and everything. So put some fucking respect on the Hot's host name. Producer Brass Jazz, shout out to him. Retweet his he has a concert coming up in New York. Brass actually plays music, as you may have seen him play Pepas. Mm-hmm. So tune into all our offerings, Mixed Bag, Needle to the Groove, all that good stuff right here on Twitch and our YouTube feed. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Be nice. Give us that little algorithm boost. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to chat. Shout out to the great Heat fans out there. Fuck the Sixers, all that good stuff, and we will see you tomorrow for Game 5.